Hello to Ephemera Files by Tommy and the making of Mildred's Roses, a journal I am making in conjunction with Lindsey Zenor, who has nevermorecreations17.com, and she also has a Facebook page that is Lindsey Zenor and Friends, and she does a monthly challenge, and I would encourage you to go and check that out. Right. So we have that one. I will probably come back and do some collage up here to take care of that blank space. All right, this one's going to be a busy one, and I'm going to have to first remember exactly what I was doing with it. This is the fold down, so I'm going to have some writing space, and then it's a pocket that will have a journaling tag in it. So I believe this is going to, is that going to go in there? Was it going? Nope, not there. Oh, it was, oh. Yes, it's going inside of there. Goodness gracious, Tommy. Okie doke. So I have this lined coffee dyed paper. And I don't know why I've got it folded in half inside of this. I am going to keep these round corners because that's from the original paper. And I'm going to glue that all down. I'm leaving this white edge here because I think it accents the coffee dyed ruffled edge. And then I'll come back and I'll trim that off. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and mark where I need to glue so that I don't have a lot of extra glue used that I don't need to have used. So, right about there. I'll actually just go ahead and tear that and see how that goes. Fit? It does. All right, so I can just glue this whole thing. Which side of the paper do I like better? I think I like that side better, so we'll glue this side. So we'll do that. Do that. And then it will fold up. And it will fold down. And I will actually, when I put it in this pocket, leave that flap out so it's easier to get a hold of to get it out of the pocket. All these clothespins are really messing with keeping this book the way I need it to be. All right, and I may take a pair of scissors and just cut down a little bit on there to make sure that this seats down in there and doesn't obstruct the fold. And then this right here, I am going to put a little surprise in when we do our collages. And so we filled that pocket. We'll just leave it at that. Now let's go back this way. Try to keep some balance. All right, this one has pocket things on both pages. I don't know that the journal is going to behave and stay open right now, and it may just be a fat journal. It's highly likely that it may be a fat journal. Here I have some lined paper. It's a very faint green lined paper, and I have this green piece of, it doesn't feel like cardstock, but it's a little heavier than regular scrapbook paper. It's like a mid-weight. I am going to glue this onto the back of the paper. Sorry, I got lost in my thoughts there for a minute. Got a lot on my plate now, and I'm just trying to keep a balance. And sometimes it's really hard to do that. You know that this is going to go right up in that corner. And I'm not going to wrap that around. That's just so that I have a marking so that I can tear this off. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and glue this to that. That's the easiest part, so we'll do that first. Whoops, put the wrong thing on the glue pad. Get this lined up in this corner here. All right, and we'll smooth that out. Now, I love these roses. I think they're so pretty. I got them out of a magazine as well. And I'm going to go ahead and tear off those corners. Not the corners, tear off the sides. I'm actually going to get into the green to make sure that I don't have any of that white edge showing. There we go. Don't need these. And I have this tissue paper here, and I'm going to do the crumpled tissue technique on here. So I crumple it up. And I'm going to glue it down onto the card. I'm actually going to line up that side. And it covers almost all of the cards, so I'm not going to put any glue up in this corner, but I'm going to go ahead and put glue in all the rest of it. And I am not being precise with that gluing because I'm going to come back and do something else with the tissue paper. Let me wad it a little bit more right there. It looked a little too neat. All right, so I am going to just align that with the edge right there. I did that upside down. Just going to align it with the edge there. Doing it this way instead. And I'm not going to do the smoothing. I'm just going to pat. That way I preserve the crinkled effect that I was going for. And my paper folded up down here on me, but that's actually easy enough to take care of. And now I'm just going to come back and tear that excess tissue off. There we go. And then I'm going to decide how I want to place. Do I want to place this up here? And I do think that's where I want it, is up there, so that I can come back and put a sentiment or a saying or something, maybe a little collage on the bottom there. I need to decide which direction I want it to go. I think I want it to be this way. And there we go. And that card is finished for now. I'll put these back into our scrap bin so I can come back and finish this. It's not going to have a lot because this is actually going into this envelope. Just like that. And so whatever goes here will still be seen. It's just going to be through that wax paper, so it's not going to be a super in-your-face detail. Let's do this card, which is going to go in this pocket right here, the torn roses. And I actually already had it lined up the way that I wanted it to be, because I'm going to layer these two washies at the top. They're not washies. These two specialty papers, the mulberry and the onion handmade paper. I am going to put this onto the back, but I don't want this straight edge over here, obviously. I think the trick to not having the pointy mountains is to have your fingers further away from the tearing point. I don't know if that's how it works for sure, but it seems to be the case. All right. And I'm going to line it up just like that. I'm going to take my thumb and actually mark where that edge is. And I may wrap that around the front. If I do that, then I would put it over on this side. That still looks good on the back. And then these two will go across the top. So I am going to glue this entire piece, since all of it is going to be glued to that card. Squeegee that down, get most of the wrinkles out, the most that we can anyway. And smooth this down on the front. All right. So now the next step, I want this to be down first, this mulberry paper, and I want this washi, I keep calling it washi, this handmade paper, to be on it like that. But I need this cut edge to be above that cut edge. So I think that that is where I want it. So I'm going to quickly just put, just so it holds together in place, I'm going to put a dab of glue where that one's going to be. And then some glue right across here. And I'll press that down. And then I'll come to the other side, and I'm just going to glue the red one down because I only put a dab under the white. And I want to make sure that I've got it glued down well. So now here's the glue for the white. And I'll come back and make sure that I'm all glued down. I think I am. I don't think I'm going to have to glue any more on that, but I am going to take my scissors and cut that excess off. Now these pieces of this specialty paper that I'm cutting off, I'm going to keep for collage. So if you do something like this, don't throw them away. They work really well. I mean, can't you just see that's already a collage right there? So put that up there. And now I'm going to come back and just hit these edges that are kind of white. Just a little bit so that they're not in your face white. I have, yes. Oh, got a bunch of it back here. Again, I'm just hitting that with my, I believe this is gathered twigs. And I dab off in my lid so that when I have, so that number one, so I don't have so much ink on my tools when I go to make the first stamp, but also I can just dab into that to get small amounts like that one. And so this one is done, and it'll slide right into that pocket, that corner tuck right there, and I like that, the way it all just works together. Next pocket is going to, or next card filling, whatever, is going to go in that pocket right there. And that's a pocket that I formed just by flipping the page over and gluing the edges down. This is the way it's going in, so I need to make sure that Got that turned the right way. Yep. And that's going to go just right there. I'm just going to glue that right there. This one, I like the words here. And so that's going to go across the front or go across, it's going to go on the front of the card. There we go. This actually falls under collage a bit too, the way that I am doing all of these pockets, because I could just go through and figure out what card I'm going to stick in the pocket, but I'm also figuring out how I'm going to decorate each of the cards, how I'm going to add interest to each of the cards. And by doing that, I am also creating collages, or at least the base steps for a collage. Now, this, oh, I did do it upside down after all. You know what? That's just going to have to, that's just going to have to be that way. So I'm going to take this, I think I debated doing it this way even. But I think I'm going to take it this way and glue that across there and then finish the collage. So now, since I let that dry for just a bit, I'm thinking, yep, I think that I'm just going to wrap that around, because with that old wallpaper look on the front, I think that it just works really well. I like that so far. All right, and I'm going to do the edges again with the gathered twigs, just because it's white right there where I tore it. And that's not the thing I want. I don't want this to look, I'm not looking for old dingy yuck. You know, I don't want it to look like it was at the bottom of the well for 50 years. But I also don't want the white jumping out at you, since we have a lot of tea dyed. And this book that book cover that I'm using, it was written and it was copyrighted in 1906. So I think that that's only fitting that we not have white edges jumping out. Now, on some of the other things that I've done, I have done the edges in a different color. I just don't want them to be white and in your face. And that one is done for now. Take off the paper clip or the clothespin. Slide that card in there. There we go. Next one, this card right here. And it is going to be inside this pocket here. And this is a piece of sheet music that I used some of the other music in the journal elsewhere. And I'm going to put this piece of old ledger paper right on the back. You can still see the notes and everything. Let's see, and it's going just like, you get my coordinates here. All right, so we're going to put that on there just like that. So we'll scoot these for the moment. I'm going to put some glue on here. Again, I keep pretty much all my scrap paper, even if it's got little bits of stamping on it or a tear or writing. As a matter of fact, my grandkids like to make background papers and collage papers for me to use in my journal making. So, and if you've bought a journal from me, you've most likely had something from them in there. All right, so my next step, I'm going to put this tab on here. And part of it's because there's a rip there that I want to take care of. And I'm going to put it on the front and the back. It's the same card. just right there. And I'm going to put this piece of lace right there. And again, that kind of counts as collaging, but I'm going to go ahead and let it ride. I'm going to lightly hit these edges. This is really old. This is old music paper. But the edges that I tore are not the same aged as that edge. And I think that on the back we are fine. So this is going to go right here. I've got the top of that card lined up with that, just because I think it's a nice effect. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac on this just to make sure I've got a good sturdy hold, since I'm holding several thicknesses together on this. I'm just going to sit that right there. And then my lace is going across here. So I think I'm going to put it on the lace directly. That way I'm not guessing as to where the glue should go. Just like that. And then the last step is we're going to match this card up to this card. This one I will put glue over the entire back because it will also be adhering to that, as well as the music paper and lined ledger paper. Make sure I've got it right side up. And I'm going to line it up with the card that's on the front. Just like that. I'm going to put the paper clip on there. Clothespin, sorry. My brain is just overrun right now. I'm going to do this just to let it dry a little better, and I'm going to set that back in there before I put it into that pocket. The next pocket filler is this one right here behind this flip up, and it's going to be very simple because I am just taking a piece of that wrapping paper that I am using with this journal, and I am just going to glue it onto this let's see, that one's avocado dyed paper. This one's simple, simple, simple. But it does add just that little bit extra. And I like the pinked edge, so I'm actually going to leave it on as a pinked edge. Just like that. Simple, simple. I really like it. And there's a white edge, so I probably need to do something with it. Let's grab the Victorian Velvet. Just take care of the whiteness of that. And a little bit on the edge of the wrapping paper as well. And there we go. And this may become a tag later. I don't know. Because it does stick up out behind that and can be seen. So I may put a hole in there and put a little something in there. I will be putting a catch of some sort on here so that this doesn't just keep flopping around. This pocket here is a little glassine envelope, not an envelope, a little bag. And I'm going to put this piece of ephemera on the inside the pocket, but first I'm going to glue down this panel of this lined writing paper, and it will fold up, and that'll be a little bit of extra writing space. I like to do a lot of decorating in my journals, but I want them to be absolutely usable. So there is lots of writing space in my journals most of the time. I say most of the time because there may be one come up and then somebody will say, "You're a liar," and I really try not to be, so. So that one was simple. Just open that up. Slide it in. You can't even see what I'm doing. Slide that in there, in that pocket. Fold that lid back down, that lip, not the lid. And there we go. And then we have one more in the front, so let's go ahead and do it. It's going to go in this linen pocket, or this, yes, this hanky right here. And again, a lot of my pockets just seem to fall into the collage territory. On this card, I forgot and went ahead and started to do the back of it. And this is just my glue it down, tear it off technique for getting lines on the paper. But I also wanted to come back and get a little bit of pretty. Everything needs a little pretty. And I have these napkins from Napkin Decoupage that I did earlier in some other areas of the book. So I'm just going to use some of this. I'm tearing off the edge, and I really should have used my water brush for that because it would have been much easier and I wouldn't have torn off that little leaf. But I know that I'm going to put that up there, and I'm going to put this down here. And so I'm going to get my glue stick. This is my dry decoupage technique that I call it. It may have another name, a real name, a different name, I don't know. That's what I call it. And it works for me because I know what I'm talking about when I say it, and that way I don't confuse myself. And I'm going to put some glue up here because I know that this rose is going to just pop right off. I didn't go all the way up to the corner because I know that I am going to have that little open space because of the way the napkin is cut, or torn, I should say. A little bit here. There's that. All right, now let's get some of those wrinkles out of there. And now I can decide, would I think I would like that if that was wrapped around there like that. This one, if I get the bottom taken off. So I will grab my water brush, which I think has a leak because way too much water comes out. And I'm going to just take this line here off. It's actually the edging of the napkin that this came from. And then I'm going to continue this line here across because I am wrapping that around the back and I don't want to have to wrap it around the front again. The same here. Okay, see how that water just puddled up? Well, maybe you can't, but that was a lot of water that just came out of the brush. So it may be time to tell this one goodbye and grab one of my new ones that are over there. All right, so now I am going to go ahead and glue around here. And once again, this is probably the base of another collage that I'll do on here, or it may be all that I do on here. Glue here. Right there. And that card is ready. Oops, I was going to wrap that little top piece around there too. Just because. There we go. Now, it was simply going to be put into this pocket. We're getting there. I still have a lot of clothespins in here. And I still have to train it so that it'll lie a little flatter. It is a fatty. And I bet if I took all the embellishments out, it would be flat, flat. And you are welcome to do that if you purchase this journal. I'm almost completely off screen because I was trying to keep everything working over here. Forgot to move the journal over here. All right, here we are on this one. Let's go to the back. I'm going to put my washi tape bowl under here to help support the back. That should probably help. And this actually has two things that are going to be going on with it. I've already clipped this together so that I didn't lose my parts. This is another one of the postcards. It's actually a copy. It's not a real postcard. Or I mean a vintage postcard. You could use it as a real postcard. Put your stamp on it, your address, and then your message and your recipient. So my goal is to cover up this set 1 card 3. So I have this piece of the handmade paper with the onion skins in it already cut. And so I'm just going to glue that on there. I know that I need glue over the entirety of the back. And there, I've already taken care of that part, but that's not all I want to do to it. I am going to take one of these tags that came from that set, the washi set, and I am going to just glue these things together. I'm not going to glue that top down because I may come back and put a ribbon or something in it. But I'm trying to decide, I can't remember if I wanted the rose over here or if I wanted it on the other side. I think I like it like that. I think if I go here, then I can go here. Yep, that's it. So I'm going to put glue on the bottom half of this tag, leaving the top half open for movement. And it's going to go right there. And then we'll glue this little die cut right down here. And that actually balances that piece there. And so that one is done. It'll stick right in there. And the one on the back side is this ribbon pocket. And so it is going to go, this is a piece of folded cardstock, and this is a die cut. I think this is from Pink Paisley, but I'm not positive. I'll check. And it is going to be glued right here. I will be cutting off those two pieces and this top piece because they are so flimsy that I know that they'll just get torn off if I don't cut them off. So I'm just going to fussy cut right there around that rose at the base of those leaves. I will not throw those away because I can use them later. And the same, this leaf I will leave attached. And just pop those leaves off. Now this part is going to hang over the front after this goes in the pocket. So my glue only needs to go to about there. I'm going to burnish that down again. It doesn't seem to be burnished yet. And I'll just do that with my thumbnail. And so I am going to take my 3-in-1 And I'm going to glue probably not quite a half an inch on there. And I think that right there is where I want it to be. Just like that. Let's grab one of my random brushes here and hit that bottom edge. There we go. And that'll fold flat so that you can still write on it. And this will slip into this pocket. Just like that. Whoops. And that will hang over. And I think maybe I need to make the card a little shorter, just so this leaf doesn't hang over the top of the journal pages itself and get torn. So we'll hit it with this again. Now we're just going to tuck that down in there. That overhangs the front, and I think that looks really nice. Now these are the 3 little pockets here. And so I have 3 tags to fill them with. And they pick up on the pink and yellow there really well. So this one, this tag is going to be like this. And I'm going to fold that over. There we go, just like that. And I'm going to use my tag cutter. And push hard. Oh, and that cut the top completely off. So, yep. Okay. And so those will fasten together after I put the thread in it. And this time I'm going to go ahead and put the thread in it. It may not stay this way, but I want you to be able to see how it's going to work. And in order for you to see how it works, these two have to be fastened together. So there we go. There is one. And it's going to go into this pocket, but only the back half. Just like that. Okay. Now this piece of vellum is just going to go in there by itself, like that. This tag we made already in the other video that was called, excuse me. Okay, and so in this top one we've got this journaling card with the embossed gold rose. This one we have this middle yellow pocket. We have the double tag, one of them vellum, and it hangs over the front. For this one we just have a spare piece of vellum. And then I am going to glue this little doily right here on the edge. Now, I'm trying to figure, I think I need to put glue on the entire thing because it'll just be fitting in there. All right. So those 3 pockets are filled. Okay, next, you know what? That's even better. There we go. Next, we're going to make a journaling card out of this that's going to slide behind this belly band. There's going to be this bag. It's going to hold the card right here. So I'm going to tear off this other edge. This one's actually pretty simple. I'm going to tear off the other edge here, the white edge. I am going to grab some scraps of paper because even if the whole back is not lined, I like having a line there just so mentally and somewhat visually I have a guide. And that's why sometimes you'll see, well, a lot of times you'll see just a torn piece of lined paper, and then the rest is kind of there for you to do what you want. But this kind of gives you a guideline, because if I know I'm starting here and then I'm starting here, what I'm writing is going to be fairly straight, and that may not matter to you, but to me it just makes a huge difference. And sometimes it's as simple as this. And I'm just barely hitting that with anything. But this is now done. Let's slide it into the glassine bag. And this bag will also allow me to put a few more goodies in there should I desire. And whoops, you know what? I forgot I was going to have to take some of that off because it's a little tall. So I am just going to pick, I have these lines across here, and I can just kind of follow one of them. And now I can use this for collage as well, this little strip. Now let's try it. It's the pinked edge that always catches. And then I'll just slide that in behind that belly band. And I think that looks nice. Next pocket is going to be this one. And it's going to fit right down in there behind that rose, between that rose and the black paper. Okay, yes, this was going to be somewhat of a mini booklet. My first step is to glue this splatter practice paper onto this music paper here. And that's going to be fairly simple. I'm just going to glue and stick and glue. And always keep your messy practice papers, keep your mistake papers. I mean, unless you absolutely do not have the room for it. Let's see, which way is right side up? That way. And I'm going to center that right up against that fold. And I'm going to push down. And I need to take this off of there because for some reason, little pieces of that old book like to stick. And I don't have a problem with that in this case because I'm using little pieces of that book. Anyway. Okay, so that's up. This is up. And I'm going to align those two edges right there. Press down. And yeah, see. But, you know, I kind of like that. That's good for me. I don't mind. Now I'm going to fold it this way. And once again, smooth it out. And now I have a little journaling card, booklet, whatever, And I have these pieces that I have already used for the rip and tear method in another spot, but I'm going to go ahead and use them here the way that they are, to the best of their ability. To create, once again, journaling spaces in that book. I'm going to get a different piece of paper, a different book side. I think that one is all used up, so I'll get another piece. There we go. And I'm going to glue, which side do I want? Want that side? I want that side. Oh, I think I like that side better. So I'll glue this side and put it on this side. Alrighty, and this one I think is going to go across this way. Yep. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish that rounded off tear there. And that is where I'm going to glue it. And this piece just doesn't want to stick down, so I'll just take it off. And there we go with that. And now I have all these papers stuck to my fingers. All right. So that is that for that card. I may have to come back and trim that off. I cannot remember if I needed to do that or not. Nope, that was fine. All right. So is that all of the pockets that we needed to fill? Looks like it is so. That is all of the pockets. Woohoo! So I still have lots of clothespins in here, so it's still not going to lay flat. But it's laying flatter than it was when it still had the abundance of them hanging out. That is how I go about filling pockets, at least for this journal. Remember that I will be coming back and doing some collage on some of the pockets along with the pages, and just doing a few different things. And I still have to do my paper clips and pretties, and I still have to edge some of my pages, and I still have to do the cover of the book. I hope you'll join me for those. I hope you have enjoyed this and maybe learned a little something. If you feel like you could teach me a little something in here that I did, that maybe you could know a different way or an easier way, or I won't say better, because I don't like to say better in art, because I think that everybody's got their own version of better, but I think that different is definitely an acceptable word. Thank you for joining me, and remember, be kind, always. Bye.